They say the sea teaches you patience, discipline, and leadership. But what happens when a seafarer brings those lessons ashore and builds something extraordinary? Welcome to Monday Shots. I'm your host Khyati, and today, yet again, we dive into the inspiring journey of a master mariner who transformed experience into enterprise and vision into value. We are honored to have with us Captain Chander Shaikher Gorowara, founder and chairman of MARiTECH Commercial, a leader whose maritime roots and commercial acumen have shaped a remarkable path in the industry. Captain brings more than 4 decades of maritime leadership and global experience to the industry. A UK licensed unlimited tonnage master mariner, he sailed as captain on multi-purpose vessels, tankers and bulk carriers before coming ashore in 1985 to establish MARiTECH in New Orleans, starting at a kitchen table with a typewriter. Today, the company operates in over 80 countries and 670 plus ports worldwide. Having personally surveyed more than 5,000 vessels, Captain is widely respected for his expertise in maritime and cargo surveys, major claims investigations, and expert testimony. Built on integrity, hard work, and family values, MARiTECH continues to grow globally as a proud family-led business, now with the next generation at the helm. Captain, welcome to Monday Shots. It's an absolute honor and pleasure for us to have you on board with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Captain, your journey is one that truly reflects courage, conviction and clarity of vision. So I would like to start with your story only. Can you walk us through your journey, how you started and how you came like this far?
Okay, my journey starts from my very early childhood. I was born in 1952 in independent India, and my parents had migrated from Pakistan. My first memory was that we were growing up in Bhakra Nangal, where my father had his employment, and bigger than life, a gentleman named Mr. Harvey Slocum was known all over India. He was the one who had been the chief engineer for the Bhakra Nangal project. At that time, his salary was about 50,000 rupees per month, where a normal salary was 125 or 150 rupees per month.
Right.
So he was larger than life, very flamboyant, drove a powder blue Chevrolet open top. He was our inspiring figure. Growing up from there, I did my high school in government high school, Nangal Township, then went on to do my 1 year of pre-university in Government College Hoshiarpur. I took my Dufferin exams, pre-seed exams in 1968 and joined Dufferin, finished in 70 and joined Shipping Corporation of India as a deck cadet. After completing my apprenticeship, and I sailed on all cargo ships, general cargo ships, tankers, bulk carriers, and then took my second mate's exams and continued to sail on product tankers, wide variety of, until I became chief officer in 1975. Then I switched to foreign companies, did a couple of foreign companies, a super tanker and another general cargo vessel before joining Volume. Sailed with Volume on on 105 small feeder container vessels, Panamax bulk carriers, other kind of general vessels. I did my master's in 1976 in UK, and within a couple of months of clearing my exam, I got my command as my captain got hospitalized. So it was pretty early command that I was not even 26 before I had my command. And then I left sea in 1985. During my second last ship on 16th September 1982, we had a very interesting episode. We were sailing from Panama Canal towards the US East Coast, and a US tanker named Ogden Willamette declared Mayday. 2 days out of Panama Canal, she was carrying Alaskan crude, and we saved everyone, 42 lives from the ship. Then the ship was going to drift on and become the biggest oil pollution disaster. So we towed that ship to safety and handed it over to US Coast Guard cutter Dallas, and that became a pretty prominent milestone landmark in my life, which later helped me get my US green card. Exactly 3 years later, 16th September 1985, we landed with green card in New York, and that's where my journey of MARiTECH begins. We settled down in New Orleans. That's where most of my connections were. It was a pretty humble pie. I started looking for jobs ashore, and the first job was at minimum wages, correcting charts in a chart shop for $4.75 an hour. And then gradually Captain Al Ross from Al Ship Marine offered me a part-time job, and he would not be interested in taking liability of an individual, so I was forced to open a company called, and then we decided on the name MARiTECH Commercial Inc. So I began subcontracting for Captain Al Ross, his company Al Ship, and on his insistence, in order to avoid personal liability, I was forced to open a company. So 6th of February 1986, we opened MARiTECH Commercial. It was registered in Louisiana, state of Louisiana, and the name was very, very deliberate. I was kept small, and MARiTECH, M-A-R for Marine, Tech for Technology, and commercial was also deliberate and in capitals, that we must add commercial value to our clients. Whatever we do, if we did not bring commercial value, it doesn't mean very much.
Very thoughtful.
So we started from our apartment on a kitchen table with a Sears typewriter and one camera. My wife was my big supporter. She helped me through the very tough times and always was by my side. We went through some real very early challenges. Local surveyors got a law passed where any foreigner would not be allowed to work in Louisiana unless he worked for them. This law was passed by the legislature, but before the governor of Louisiana signed it, we were able to oppose it pretty strongly, and from the governor's doorsteps it was repealed. Then I had other personal challenges and setbacks. We worked on a tanker, loss control for a company called Nautica Marine, which they agreed to pay me $300 a day. And then when I finished the job and came back, they reneged to half of that. The word got around. People came to know that I'm capable of doing good job. I started getting work from Friday evening to Monday morning when everybody wanted to take off for the weekends.
Right.
So I worked almost 72 hours non-stop and then write the reports and get ready for the next weekend. And anyway, that was the start of our MARiTECH Commercial Inc. Then local companies came along. Morris Pincoff from South Africa. We used to do a lot of steel for them, steel outturns, forward marine lines. Cargill came along with their challenge ships, Oldendorf, their port captaincy, a local agency, KNC Shipping, and that was our earlier start years. After 2 years in our apartment, we were able to get our own house.
Nice.
Worked very hard to pay it off in 3 years. People usually take 15 or 30 years to pay it off, and continued operating from home. Then Captain Ambrish Parekh, my 1 year senior from Dufferin, who was the President's Gold Medalist, he joined us. We had Mr. Kersey, engineer, our first employee. With the two of them, we opened our present office in the present location and grew from there. So we moved to our present office location and grew from there. Easter Sunday of 2001, we opened our Houston office. Soon, a few months later, Katrina was a big disruption. The New Orleans office had to be stopped. Everyone had evacuated. We made a comeback and resumed New Orleans operation. Then international growth started. We national and international growth. We opened in Tampa, then Philippines, Vancouver, Panama Canal. India, of course, was a big beginning. We grew internationally and nationally. Cargill and Oldendorf presented us with many of their challenges. Cargill partnered with Rio Tinto and BHP to open RightShip. My first draft of dry cargo dry bulk wetting became the auditing standard for RightShip. We wrote up to 11 revisions. Thereafter, suddenly the fuel prices went up in 2008 to $400 a ton from $100 a ton. So we started Bunker Detective for Cargill. In 1 week, we found over 1,000 tons hidden. So went back to Geneva to show them where the fuel was hidden deliberately and through negligence. Or that month in 2008, the movie Sherlock Holmes had come out, and Jonathan Stoneley, who was the global head of ops for Cargill, he's the one who, the movie starts with the words 221B Baker Street. So he used that word 221B to name our program. The name still stays. He gave us another challenge of maximizing cargo intake for ships going through Panama Canal. In 3 years we did 2001, 2 and 3 we did 100 ships, and found that after the operator and master had agreed to the cargo intake, we had loaded 26,000 and some tons more on 100 ships. So that average of 250, 260 plus still holds. Since then we loaded more than 10,000 ships going through Panama Canal, never overloaded any, and have been instrumental in resolving at least 2 to 3 ships that get overloaded on someone else's watch, and then get handed over to us either before crossing Panama or sometimes even as late as when they are anchored in the Gatun Lake. We have worked with we work with presently over 120 customers with more than 108 full-time employees of MARiTECH. Our own offices are in 9 countries, and my people who I taught from 2008, with them we have our international network that contribute and help us from everywhere in the world, in South Korea, in China, in Vietnam, East Africa, Persian Gulf, West Africa, Baltics. We have our own Ukrainian employees, and their reach have helped us work in Baltics. We used to work in Russia, but have been stopped. So East Coast and West Coast of South America, Central America, islands. We opened our own office in Dominican Republic. So we are continuing to provide services to the industry. Basically, what happens is that wherever there's a stress point and customers tell us that how do we resolve this, so we take it on as a personal challenge. It's abstract problem solving is a challenge, and that's what we work on. We feel satisfied after we've solved a problem, and that becomes our modus operandi. So our growth has come from problem solving, whether it is technical, bureaucratic, any which ways. Grain stability issues have been a mathematical challenge. We handle that pretty well. In fact, when authorities cannot find a solution, they recommend to the charters and operators to go and approach MARiTECH, that MARiTECH will probably find a solution for you. So that's where we are. We opened in Canada with our team leader from India who migrated there. Panama Canal, both these offices are about 13 years old. Our bunker detective program became international, and we have continued to grow with our hard work and problem solving culture. So our journey continues with our faith, resilience and humility.
That's great. Well, Captain, what an incredible journey you had. It's very inspiring to see how a childhood impression turned into a global life journey. And what stands out for me is, it's not just the milestones, but the quite determination behind them, isn't it? That's very great, and thank you so much for sharing in so much fine details. So Captain, after an extraordinary sailing career, you took a bold step ashore and built MARiTECH. So for our listeners who may not be familiar, can you please tell us about MARiTECH and what it specializes in?
So MARiTECH, for ship owners, we do all the pre-purchase surveys when they want to buy a ship. Okay. AM, Nomicos, ADM, every ship they bought, we did the inspections for them. We have done many of those. When they want their internal audits done, external audits done, we carry out that to bring them up to speed. Since we wrote the right ship audits, we prepare the ships for right ship. Likewise for port state control inspections, US Coast Guard inspections. Then for charterers, we bring real value to the table. We make sure they don't get cheated when they're on hired, and get their full value of bunkers when they redeliver. They don't get held for damages. They get the maximum cargo capacity out of the ship by maximizing cargo intake, whether it is for a transient port like Panama Canal or destination. If they have problem with grain stability, we solve those potential problems. If and when a ship gets into trouble, P&I club trouble, grounding, collision, fire, major trouble, we work for every P&I club that exists. They all know us. If a charterer or owner says they would like to use MARiTECH, there's no club which has any objection to using us. For shippers and receivers, we do outturn surveys. Everybody gets a fair representation. So that's what we bring to the table for our existing customers.
Yeah. Thank you, Captain, for breaking that down so clearly for us. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Captain, you have had the privilege of witnessing the maritime industry across multiple eras. So, when you think about your early sailing days in 80s and the industry as it stands in 2026, what feels completely different and what surprisingly remains the same?
Communications, calculations. In those days, everything had to be navigation was much different. Nowadays, it's all actors. Every stability we calculated by hand. We didn't even have calculators.
Okay.
So things are moving much faster. Stability can be calculated. Lodicators came first. There's been a big evolution in the industry. There's no software that replaces fundamentals. You have to have strong fundamentals to take it to the next level, and technology has improved greatly, and we use it presently to enhance and fasten our responses. Industry is much more faster, regulated, structured, commercially and economically. But what has not changed is the responsibility.
Right.
A ship at sea is still a ship at sea. Same old, good old rough seas, waves. Steel is still steel. Behaves the same way, even if the ships are bigger or smaller. And human judgment is what is important. That's the difference between success and failure. Technology assists, but character leads.
So, if we look back a few decades, earlier shipping was deeply relationship driven, built on trust and long-term connections. Nowadays, it's far more transactional and fast-paced. Do you agree with this?
Absolutely. Before, everything was done on handshakes. You knew your owners, you knew your charters, you knew all the agents, you knew the surveyors who would come and attend. Right now, everything is fast-paced, and everything is measured very fast. Your decisions are data-driven, performance, metrics, KPIs, digital measurements, all of these have brought much more quicker efficiency and accountability. What we've gained is transparency and speed, and we must be very, very careful not to lose our loyalty and long-term trust. Shipping still runs on relationships, but those relationships must withstand more scrutiny, performance data, accountability, and yet perform and continue to perform.
Yeah. Well, thank you for putting that up so clearly for us. So, Captain, you have not only observed this evolution, but you have built and grown a global organization right through it. So, as someone who has built a business in this evolving environment, how do you personally balance relationships and performance metrics?
For me, performance metrics are important, but they're not the foundation. Integrity is the foundation. So if your technical work is accurate, you consistently add value, performance metrics and will follow naturally. Relationships based and built on honesty, performance are sustainable, they will grow. We focus on the three pillars: technical accuracy, commercial practicality and professional respect. If these remain intact, then all the numbers and relationships take care of themselves.
Right, right. I think that's a lesson not just for shipping industry but for any and every business leader. Thank you for sharing that so profoundly with us, Captain. So, Captain, in your line of work, you sometimes have to take positions that may not be favorable to the other party, other side of the party. So how do you manage that pressure and still preserve the professional respect?
So this is where experience comes in and calmness matters. In marine surveying, in commercial disputes, not everyone will be happy with your answer. But if your conclusions are factual, documented, professionally presented, even the opposition will respect them, even if they disagree. So the key principles still remain the same, which is don't make it personal, stick to the evidence, commercially respect everyone, stay calm. In shipping, it can get very emotional because money is involved. And our job is to remain steady. There's a saying at sea, in the rough seas, when we steer the ship, we say steady as she goes.
As she goes, yeah, right. Thank you for sharing, Captain. I think that's a very grounded and mature way to handle high pressure situations. So, Captain, building a company is one challenge, but preserving its culture while expanding across geographies is different. So, as your organization grows across multiple offices, globally, so how do you ensure that the core DNA and values of the company, are being followed, and how do you preserve them?
So, culture starts at the top. It's not the words which are spoken; they must be lived. The I in MARiTECH and in me personally and in the top leadership must remain small. The egos have to remain small. We promote mentorship. Senior captains, chief engineers, they pass down the judgment. At the same time, we encourage independent thinking, but grounded ethics. Whether in US, Panama Canal, Philippines, India, Canada, Dominican Republic, South Africa, the principles remain: add commercial value, protect integrity, stay technically sound, and remain humble. So respect, mutual respect and understanding is the way.
Yeah. I really liked what you just said, that culture must be lived, not written. I think this alone says that why it sustains, across multiple offices. Thank you for sharing that so clearly, Captain. So, Captain, when we look at a journey as long and as accomplished as yours, it's very easy to see the milestones. Everybody noticed that. But often the most defining growth happens during the testing phases. So looking back at your career, which phase tested you the most, and what did it teach you?
So settling down in America was like the most humbling experience of my life. From captain of a ship to start at minimum wage correcting charts was very humbling. Um, there was a lot of uncertainty whether we will make it or not, financial pressures, family pressures, and starting in a new country with new environment was very foundational.
Right.
Taught me the lessons I learned were very important. Good and bad times both pass. This too shall pass.
Right.
It deepened my faith in my religion, culture, connection with the cosmos. If you remain sincere, disciplined, patient, then the right doors will open at his timetable,
Right.
not yours.
Absolutely.
But they do open. So this was my fundamental lessons that I learned in life.
Captain, you know, I read it somewhere that tough times never last, but tough people do. And I'm sure you were tough enough that whatever uncertainty, financial pressure, or etc., or any sort of challenge would have, you know, you must have faced, you came through it very strong, and this is what, you know, those times made you. So thank you so much for sharing that so politely and so humbly with us. Thank you. So Captain, you operate in a high pressure industry, yet you carry certain calmness. Throughout this conversation, one thing that consistently stands out is your composure. And I've also heard that you are very spiritual. So does that influence the way you manage your business and take decisions?
Transcends, it reminds me that ego is temporary, failure is temporary, success is temporary. What remains is character. In high pressure environments, the cargo disputes, bunker detective, like 221B investigations, or any operational crisis, calmness is strength. When you stay calm, you think clearly. When you think clearly, you act correctly. Shipping tests you constantly, every day, every moment. Spiritual grounding gives you the balance.
Well, Captain, rather calling it a philosophy, I would call it operational wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing. That's a big learning for me to handle high pressure situations. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Captain, as we near the end of this episode, I have one final question for you. What message would you like to give to the younger generation entering this marine industry?
First, master your fundamentals. Technologies change, basics don't change. The seamanship, the engineering principles, science, grain stability of life, they will remain the same. Second, you got to protect your reputation. You build it, it compounds, and if it is damaged, it's difficult to restore. Third, be patient. Careers in shipping are marathons, they're not sprints. And finally, understand that success is not only about financial growth and metrics, it's also about contributing to the industry. I go back to Mr. Harvey Slocum, who came from USA to India to build Bhakra Dam and a few other dams. So hopefully I did my part in coming from India to US, and bringing MARiTECH. Life is so interconnected. Cosmos has its symmetry. If you work sincerely, remain focused, humble, committed, then your journey will unfold with positivity.
Absolutely. Well, that's such a wonderful way to close, Captain. Thank you so much, Captain, for not just sharing your professional milestones, but your wisdom, your resilience, and your faith with us today. Thank you so very much. Today's conversation was not just about shipping. It was about character, resilience, integrity, faith, and the quiet power of staying grounded while building something meaningful. Captain reminded us that technologies may evolve, industries may transform and markets may fluctuate, but fundamentals, reputation, patience and contributions remain timeless. On behalf of everyone listening, Captain, once again, thank you so much for your wisdom, your candor, and for sharing so much of abundance of knowledge that you have with us.
I'm privileged to be part of my 1968-70 Dufferin batch, which has contributed immensely to shipping. My batchmates, Captain Singota, wrote the grain stability regulations which are practiced worldwide. Captain Mukundan headed the International Maritime Bureau, and most of my batchmates have contributed immensely. Mine is only a small part. A few years ago, couple of years ago, I changed my message on WhatsApp to "We've only just begun."
Okay.
And we have only just begun, because the Indian diaspora in shipping is just about to break through the ceiling. And not even the sky is the limit.
Right.
Not even the sky.
Right.
So we've only just begun.
Thank you so much, sir. It was one of the most fruitful episodes for me, and I have learned a lot on a personal note from your groundedness, from your calmness. Thank you so much for being here and giving us your time.
You're very kind.
Thank you. And to our listeners, if you like today's episode, do not forget to like, share and leave a review for us. This is Khyati signing off from Monday Shots. Until next time, stay steady, stay curious and keep navigating forward. Thank you.